You must be a monster. Everyone says you must be harmless and virtuous and owes no one cause harm. That you must hurt your competitive instinct, that you don't should try to win, be too aggressive, be too pushy, fade into the background, and that's it wrong. You must be a monster. Absolute monster, and then you have to learn to control the monsters yourself. If you put yourself in a new situation, then the new genes will code for new proteins and build new neural structures, nervous system. To some extent, what happens when you exercise, because your muscles react to load, but also your nervous system does the same. So imagine how much is in your genetic code potentials. And then if you hit a new situation, then the stress caused by this specific situation will unlock these genes and then create new parts of you. This is amazing. Who knows how much is locked inside you? The best man I've ever had met very dangerous people. Harmless man is bad, man is good, man is very, very dangerous. The person who holds it under voluntary control. Women don't like harmless men, they despise them, they like to laugh over them. What women want so is dangerous and civilized men, and they want to help civilize them, both in Beauty and the Beast. If you're harmless, you're not virtuous, you're just harmless, like a rabbit. A rabbit is not virtuous, just can't do anything but just being eaten. Is no good at it's not. If you're a monster, but you don't lead, act like a monster, that's when you virtuous, but you still remain a monster and must keep it. Realize Harry Potter has one to his flaws hurt him. There is evil in him. He can talk to snakes. Time breaks the rules. He's naughty, but you know he has a good reason. Break the rules. If he didn't break rules, he would not have reached the highest goal. Yes, it's very strange, but the hero must be so. A hero must be a monster, but controlled by a monster, like Batman. And again, same in Harry Potter stories. You see that he was touched by evil, faithful, and in reality in his soul is fragment as black as it is at all possible. That's why he can talk to snakes, but without it he would not be able to win. And this absolutely correct psychologically. If you can't think sense an evil person, then you are defenseless in front of such people, because they go there somewhere and imagine you can't, and then they will win. And therefore the best men I've ever had met were always strong, even when I was in high school and junior high school, because most of my friends dropped out around 10th grade, and many of them were guys who developed physically. One of my friends were kicked out when he quit physical challenge to the PE teacher. My friend had no problem resist them, but it's all the same expelled. I noticed that often whose children character I admired excluded schools. They were stronger guys who just tired of following the rules. Then they left and worked in the old towers or something like that, and it was really hard work. So don't looks like they're taking the easy way out. Harmless person does not mean good man. Is a good man is very, very dangerous man who keeps it under voluntary control. If you remember the story of the beauty and the monster, then the beauty is not interested in a guy who wasn't a monster. She interested in a guy who is a monster, and that's exactly right. She interested in a guy who, being monster, can be civilized and disciplined. There are no safe places. And next the question is, do you really want a safe place? Is what you are. Do you really want to be so weak you want to be always protected from threats? What kind of life is you? Paralyzed rabbit in a hole. I believe that the first paradox of all, which was discovered by the Buddha, but also very clearly stated in Christianity, lies is that the solution to the problem of tragedy, malice, is the willingness to face them face to face. Who the hell is about it? Ever guess? It's perfect paradoxical assumption. So why does it work? The more you resist the two of, then the more you grow, and maybe you can grow so much that you actually become more than chaos and malice itself. And you can think about what evidence this has. It's just what people do. So we learning every time you introduce your child with something new from the nursery platform, for example, what it is exposed to chaos and anger. Children play and develop, make friends with each other and all the same, but in the playground there, the complexity of the social structure and the viciousness of the bullies is right there, and you throw your child there and say adapt to him, and he succeeds. Playground, complex place, and child can adapt, but as far as possible, can it be expanded? Can it be expanded from chaos of order and malice in the nursery playground? Yes, chaos, order, and malice. Like, that's the question. I don't think is there any reason to answer this. The question is negative, because we are not, we know the person to the fullest. And this a problem that already has a solution. For example, in Buddhist history, that the Buddhist world is collapsing just like that, the same as the collapse of the world of Ladies and Eve. Recurring impact of mortality and death. What happens to a Buddha is that he is aware that small, the protected city that his father built a walled garden for him, it's exactly the same motive as in history about Adam. No kind of defense can to exist, and it gradually discovers at the same thing happens with children. Go outside, explore the Limits run away, but at some point they discover limit run away, and parents have nothing to them say, because they achieved the same limit that and parents who ask, well, what are you going to do with your life like you do gonna act in this archetypal universe? Your parents can only say that you should identify with the respective archetypal figures. The one day a moment comes and it becomes a problem they can't solve. Now is the time to look bitter, to face it. But to understand this in more detail, think about it like about being able to watch, or you will, to your own indignation, offended, embittered in many situations because you don't get what. If you want to watch this resentment, bitterness, you will see that they give rise to fantasies that can be incredibly bleak. It can be very scary, and you might not want to admit to yourself that you're really capable of such fantasies, aggressive feelings. But the fact is that if these aggressive feelings are impulses and fantasies are integrated into your character, it's like you're starting a conversation with a part of yourself that can be very strong and dangerous, and it really is useful to be dangerous, because if you can be dangerous to you often, they must be often doing evil. Weak people, e.g. weak men who become rapists, a common occurrence. It's an act of violence, but he was born from the weakness on his strength, so that in any case be honest your resentment and watch yourself. Then what are you really? Be attentive, as if you don't know yourself, as if you might have hidden demons.